Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics. Today I'm at the MASSIVE Raynham Flea Market, a huge indoor space full of hundreds of vendors. I've been here in the past and there are plenty of comic books, so let's go inside and see what we can find. Wow, that is clean.
Nice.
That's great. Wow, beautiful. First Thrawn and Mara Jade, right?
I believe so. Yeah. It's not horrendous, but it's not perfect, you know.
No, but it's affordable if you want one.
Very pretty book.
Wow, it's in great shape. All right, guys, that place is ridiculously huge. I barely scratched the surface, but I still ended up with some comic books I'm pretty happy to have picked up. Let's go home and I'll show you guys everything that I found. So there you go, guys. That was the massive Raynham Flea Market in Raynham, Massachusetts. As you can tell from the footage, it's in a gigantic building, like the size of an airplane hangar, full of hundreds of vendors. And of course, I was there in the winter, but if you go in the warmer months, the entire outside area, the parking lots are also full of vendors. But still, guys, even on a cold January day, this place was absolutely packed. And hey, there's something there for everybody. If you like collectibles, they're there. If you like coins, if you like sport cards, if you like vintage video games, Funko Pops, you name it, it's in this place, which means, of course, you can also find comic books. And I absolutely found plenty. I got a small little pile here, but I'm happy with everything I got. And especially one in particular, I think I got a fantastic deal on it. So before I show you what I got, if you guys like this sort of stuff and you want to support the channel, head on down, hit that like button, leave me a comment, feel free to subscribe, and of course, follow me on Instagram under Lunch Money Comics IG. So let's first start with the largest comic book vendor in that building, which was Sensational Comics. You saw it in the footage, it's run by a great guy named Joe. And when I went last year, I ended up buying a pretty big book from Joe, which was Daredevil #2. Pretty awesome book. So I knew the caliber of comics they had at this place. So after I looked around for a while, I kind of saved them for last. And I head on over there. And yeah, it's a pretty cool place. There's lots of Funko Pops and comic books, not only on the wall, but lots of dollar bins. I also bumped into a buddy of mine, Neil. I talked about Neil in a recent video, and he was there finalizing a big deal to fill in his Avengers run. So it was kind of cool to watch that and be a fly on the wall. But of course, I had to have some comic books. No big books jumped out to me, but I definitely got some small ones, and I got a great price on them. So let's start with kind of the silliest one. While Neil was making his deal, I was looking through the dollar bins. I saw this book, and Joe just ended up throwing it in for free. This is X-Force number 38 from 1994, part of the Phalanx Covenant. I talked about this storyline recently. It was one that crossed all of the different X-Men titles, X-Men affiliated titles. I was trying to finish it, and although I have multiples of every other book in that story, I don't think I actually had this book. So for free, essentially, happy to get it, showing us Siren right here. All right, this next book is actually pretty cool. I found this in the DC box with the other Swamp Things. It's a book I already own, but I'm absolutely happy to pick this up, especially for the price. So this is Swamp Thing number 49 from 1986. Of course, this is written by Alan Moore. In this case, the art was done by Stan Walk and Alfredo Alcala, although the cover was done by Stephen Bissett, who was a longtime collaborator on Swamp Thing with Alan Moore. Now, this is notable for a couple of reasons for me. One, I love this cover by Bissett. It's great. It shows an up-and-close personal, picture of Swamp Thing. I thought it was pretty neat. I just think it's a great comic. However, it has a much bigger claim to fame, although it's a debatable one. So this is often cited as the first cameo appearance of the Justice League Dark team. Now, I say it's debatable, and the reason is because this is from 1986. The first official appearance of the Justice League Dark team is 2011 in Justice League Dark #1, part of the New 52. And the Justice League Dark team, which I've been talking about for a while, is a team made up of some of the more supernatural DC characters like Constantine, Zatanna, Etrigan the Demon, Phantom Stranger, and of course, Swamp Thing. However, even though that was their first appearance officially, teams that looked a lot like that made appearances many times in the decades before. And in this issue right here, Swamp Thing and Constantine are going up against a pretty big threat, and they start putting together a team. And who's on that team? A lot of the people I just mentioned, Etrigan the Demon, the Phantom Stranger, the Spectre. A lot of characters that look an awful lot like Justice League Dark. I think a lot of times, guys, we get into semantics about whether or not someone is specifically mentioned by name. For all intents and purposes, this is their first appearance in cameo form. They start forming the team in this one, and then in number 50, you see the full team in its glory, and on the cover, it's the Justice League Dark team. Hate to say it, I know they don't say what their name is, but that's clearly what they are. And for what it's worth, this I consider to be their first appearance. So I think it's pretty cool. Like I say, I already own this book, and I bought it last year for like $25. This one here, sticker price is $7, and Joe sold it to me, I think, for $5. So, yeah, I was absolutely happy to pick up another copy of this book because I love the team so much. I love Swamp Thing so much. Totally worth it for that price. And the last book I got is Sensational Comics. I mentioned I got that Daredevil book last year. Well, that's because they have a pretty good run of Daredevil, Silver Age Daredevil at this place. And I've often said this in the past as well, guys. I have a pretty good run of Silver Age Daredevil, like issues, 2 through 100. Because mostly they were like the cheapest of the big Silver Age character books when I was younger. Well, I saw a book that I didn't actually have yet, and I can't believe I didn't own it because it's awesome. It's this. This is Daredevil number 27 from 1967, written by Stan Lee, art by Gene Colan, who did a lot of the art on these Daredevil books of this era. Now, this isn't really like a key per se, but it's notable because it's a crossover guest starring Spider-Man. People love it when Spider-Man crosses over with Daredevil. But other things going for it, it's a fantastic looking book. I love yellow covers. It shows sort of the different elements of the stories in the book. Over here we have Stiltman, who is, believe it or not, my favorite Daredevil villain. I'm not joking. It's not Kingpin. It's not, Bullseye. It's not Elektra. It's Stiltman to me. I love him. Down here we have featuring the honest to gosh. This is literally what it says. The honest to gosh end of the Masked Marauder. I mean, you don't get much more 1967 than that sentence right there. And then, of course, you have Foggy and Karen down here in the corner. So, guys, I had to have this book, especially because it was listed at $15, but I noticed, because there's a little bit of ink on here, that's fine, but there's a little bit of tear. Joe sold it to me for $10. So for $15, I got all of these, and I'm pretty excited about that. So the last book I got, I actually got from a different vendor. I feel bad, I already forgot his name, but you saw his booth in the footage. He's dead smack right in the middle of the entire building. And he has lots of interesting stuff. I mean, he has lots of back issues, that are sort of low price. He has some dollar books. He had some wall books that were 25% off, but what really caught my eye was he had 3 boxes of Golden Age books marked at 50% off. Now, most of the comics in there were like, typical Gold Key, Dell comics, the funnies, the westerns, things I'm not too interested in, but you never know. And right as I got to the end of that first box, I saw a comic book that looked familiar to me. I actually saw this book very recently at a comic book show, and it piqued my interest, but I didn't get it. Well, here it is again, mere weeks later, as if the comic gods are telling me, Mike, buy this book. And even better, this book was in better condition. What was it? It was this. This is the new Heroic Comics, published by Famous Funnies, and this is from 1947. And what is this all about? Well, it says it right here on the cover. Herein are stories of truly heroic men and women chosen by this publication for their daring actions and hazardous tasks. Yeah, it's multiple true life stories of people doing amazing things. It's got this beautiful painted cover by H.C. Keeper. And the most notable thing to me, guys, besides this beautiful cover, was the condition. This book is gorgeous. I mean, it has a little bit of a spine roll, but for 1947, this is a beautiful presenting book. It actually kind of blew me away. But that's not the only reason I was interested in it. See, the vendor had written on the original poly bag, I rebagged it when I got home, he wrote on it the price, and he wrote Toth. And what he meant by that was, one of the stories in here, actually the cover story, which is about a nurse who saved this baby and a ton of people from a burning hospital, that story, the art was done by a very young Alex Toth, who is an incredibly famous comic book artist and cartoonist. He was in the industry for like 40 years, was inducted into the Jack Kirby Hall of Fame. When I say early art, I mean he was like in his early 20s or late teens when he did the art on this. So it's very notable in that regard, guys. So, to recap, book from 1947, beautiful condition, awesome painted cover, and a very notable artist in some of his earliest work. Yeah, that's all great. Best part, sticker price $30, sale price $15. Heck yeah, guys. I could not say no to this book for $15. Beautiful Golden Age book. Not something I was, of course, looking for, but sometimes when you see something that calls to you, the comic gods are telling you to get it, you gotta listen and get it. So all told, guys, I wasn't there too long. I enjoyed myself hunting around, but I only ended up with 4 comic books, but in true lunch money fashion, I spent a grand total of $30. That's some lunch money comics. So head on down to the comments, guys, and let me know which of my pickups you like the best and what you think of the prices that I paid. Pretty happy about the Daredevil one as well. So that's it, guys. Keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places as well, such as gigantic indoor flea markets. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.